Good evening. The meeting is now convened at 4:59 p.m. Let the record reflect that a quorum is established. Will you please stand for the posting of the colors?
Good evening. Tonight's colors are presented by the Beaumont United High School Navy Junior ROTC. It is commanded by Cadet Jasleen Garcia, Cadet Efren Gomez, Cadet Adair Stevens, and Cadet Diana Hernandez, under the direction of Gunnery Sergeant Michael Triplett, United States Marine Corps, retired. The U.S. Pledge will be led by Jaylee Segee, a Guest Elementary Cowboy, and the Texas Pledge will be led by Bryson Sachere, a Beaumont United Timberwolf. Jaylee has been an active student on her campus by participating in Student Council, UIL, Flag Team, and basketball. Bryson is also a prominent student in his school community. He leads his campus through service and Student Council, band, Principal Student Leadership Task Force, and more. Now for our pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank y'all so much for that. Can y'all hear me? Does that work? Okay. We will now have our recognitions by Superintendent Massey.
At this time, we want to pause and remember and honor Jose Enrique Esparza, a valued member of our Beaumont ISD Maintenance Department who passed away on Sunday, August 9th at the age of 48. Jose was known for his faith, his commitment to serving others, and his love for family, his church, and the community. He leaves behind his wife, Celia, 3 sons, Abdias, Caleb, and Joshua, and countless others whose lives were touched by his kindness and service. Tonight, we extend our deepest condolences to his family, his loved ones, and the Beaumont ISD colleagues who worked with him. Please join us in a moment of silence in memory of Jose Enrique Esparza. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll ask Rachel Hera to the podium for Bus Buddy recognition.
Good evening, President Wheeler, School Board Superintendent Massey, and guests. Tonight, we have the privilege of recognizing a very special group of volunteers who spent a combined total of over 500 hours ensuring our students were known, supported, challenged, and prepared. Let's take a look. I am a bus buddy who has volunteered with BISD so that I can be on the routes, get to know kids, see what's going on, get to know the bus drivers as well. It was so great.
Today was my first route with BISD. This is my aide, Kaylin, and I wanted to know, how did you like being an aide today?
Well, actually, it was a great experience. I was able to support and help the kids on the route the whole time while my driver, of course, was focused on the road.
We stopped at Fletcher. We also went to Beaumont United. Then today we went to Sally Curtis and then to Westbrook. So kids were a little bit sleepy in the morning, but as their friends loaded the bus, they actually were very happy to see each other.
The bus buddy, I love the bus. I had Mr. Massey yesterday, and I had Miss Elena today, and it was good. I like it. They interacted with the kids. It helps out with the strapping the kids in and making sure that they're buckled, making sure that they're seated properly.
Someone there simply to greet them with a smile. Our bus drivers, I find it fascinating and amazing that they already know a lot of the kids' names, and so the very first thing the kids get is a bus driver calling them by name, and that is such a great way to feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself, and that someone cares about you. This adult is investing in you again and again every day. Our schools and our kids need as much investment as we can give, and so this is a very easy, great way to get to do that.
Beginning on the very first day of school, nearly 100 bus buddies rode Beaumont ISD bus routes and greeted our students with smiling faces, warm hearts, and positive energy to start our students' day. Our buddies helped students find their seats, encouraged safe riding practices, and most importantly, helped our young learners feel comfortable and welcome as they began a new school year. For many of our students, the first bus ride of the year can bring excitement, anticipation, and sometimes a few nervous feelings. Our bus buddies help turn those first rides into positive experiences, and we are so incredibly grateful to the individuals who volunteered their time by arriving early in the morning, giving their afternoons, and making the commitment to be there for our students during those important first days. Their willingness to serve is a wonderful example of what it means to be part of the Beaumont ISD family and to put our students first. The Bus Buddy program reflects our commitment to ensuring that every student is known, supported, challenged, and prepared. It demonstrates that supporting our students is truly a community effort. To all of our Beaumont ISD Bus Buddy volunteers, thank you for showing up, for giving your time, and for helping us give our students a great start to the school years. Please stand, Bus Buddies.
Thank you so much, Bus Buddies. We want to recognize another special group. You may have a seat. Every day, our transportation team makes sure our students get to school safely and back home safely. To our bus drivers, our bus aides, mechanics, dispatchers, office staff, and everyone behind the scenes, thank you. We could not do this work without you. As a small token of our appreciation, please, will our transportation team, if you are here tonight representing transportation, please stand. We'd like to ask you to come forward. Transportation team, come forward very quickly for us, please. Come up to the front.
And Keena, I did want to just say that we invited all of our bus drivers today, but guys, they are still on their last routes right now.
Stand here for us. We've got some special bus buddies that would like to just honor you with a small token of appreciation. If our bus buddies who have been identified would go ahead and come forward and give an honor of appreciation to our transportation team. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
And those medals say MVP because they are certainly our most valuable players right now as they're getting our kids to school right off the bat. So thank you guys. I think they're at 94% completion with getting them to school on time. And that's even with a couple of parents hitting the back of the bus. So good job, guys. Good job.
Thank you all again. And as we're going through recognitions, if there's any public officials in the audience this evening, please stand and be recognized. Okay, before we continue with the remainder of our agenda, we would like to thank our honorees, their families, and guests for joining us this evening. If you are here for the recognition portion of tonight's meeting, you are welcome to quietly exit the boardroom at this time as we transition to the business portion of our meeting. Thank you for your continued support and your support of Beaumont ISD. You don't have to leave, by the way, but you can. Okay, our next agenda item is public comment. We're glad that you're here tonight and look forward to hearing from you. Only individuals who signed up in advance to speak will be able to address the board in accordance with board policy. Any person who did not sign up will be able to speak during public comment, but we will not be able to speak during public comment, but we do invite you to sign up to speak at our next meeting. I'm requesting that each speaker limit their remarks to 2.5 minutes. We ask that the speakers refrain from naming individuals, especially students, because the identity of students is protected by law. You may, however, say the name of your own child if you wish. Please note that board members will not engage in dialogue or respond to comments during the public comment portion of the meeting. I ask you to please respect the procedures that are in place and the other speakers and the audience members, and in your comments promptly when your time has expired. Mrs. Smith, please call the first speaker.
Jennifer Moore.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm nervous. It's all new faces. This is my 13th time at this podium trying to get cameras in self-contained classes. And I spent 12 months trying to give the best argument I could to have people listen to the need, and I just don't feel like that was working at all. My daughter is a special needs student, and there are non-speaking children in her class that were assaulted by teachers. My daughter was assaulted by her teacher. She had bruises on her body for 2 weeks. Whether people believe me or not, my daughter told me exactly what happened to her. The cameras in the classroom provide transparency and security, so that way when she tells me what happened to her, we can request the footage and go back and look. When she was hurt again in December, I asked for the footage to be reviewed. 2 of the 3 different days, the camera wasn't working. So even cameras itself are not enough, but it's my only thing that I can ask for. It's the only way that I can protect my daughter. When my daughter was hurt on the bus, by the way, I love transportation. They're amazing, amazing people. My daughter came and told me she was bad. She had been conditioned to think that she was the problem. And the bus aide assaulted her, and it's on video. And still, there's no legal action or anything. It's just, she's not there no more. Okay, all done. Thank God, but at the same time, where's the accountability on BISD's part? My daughter was in the hospital for 18 days after she was hurt last year. Just this summer, The whole reason why I haven't been here the last 2 months was because I had a stroke. I had a massive stroke. I would have been here your first board meeting. I've come every single month faithfully to ask for cameras in self-contained classes. It's necessary. I'm sorry. The camera on the bus is the only way that I know what happened to her that day. Because she told me that I asked her what happened. She said she was bad because she scratched the aid. And that's not what happened. I mean, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry I wasn't here for 2 months. I apologize to everybody that supported me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bridget Smith.
Hello, Bridget Smith, 1050 Beaumont Street. I am now a retired teacher. I was in the district for 30 years. I went through 6 superintendents, 2 takeovers. And I want to let y'all know the culture of BISD right now is in great danger. The teachers are frustrated. They are tired. I have teachers calling me, asking me, what if they just leave right now? What would happen to their contract? What would happen to them? I know that we needed changes. We have no doubt there's not a teacher that's here, there's not a staff that's in BISD that said that they don't need changes. But the changes that's implemented right now is having your teachers where they are ready to walk out on you. Something have to change. I have grandbabies in this school. I am invested in BISD above and beyond. But right now, you have teachers that don't have their prep time. You have pre-K teachers that prep time is at their nap time. You cannot have a prep time when your children is at nap time. You just can't do it. I did it for 15 years. It just can't be done. That time is designated to our teachers to have their own planning time, not time for PLCs, not time for anything else, their time, and they need that time. I invest and love BISD, but there have to be some changes. Are we gonna have no teachers to teach our students? We're in the 2nd week of school, and I look at the teachers, they look defeated, the staff, they look defeated, the children, they look defeated. I have invested 30 years in this school, and I have never seen it as down as it is right now. We have to do better. I expect each and every one of y'all to do better than what y'all doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy Gerals.
Superintendent Massey and members of the board, you all look good in blue. My name is Andy Gerals. I'm the proud father of 3 students, 2 of which are BISD elementary students, and I'm also the husband of a BISD elementary teacher. Our family is hopeful that BISD can achieve its mission of ensuring every student is known, supported, challenged, and prepared this school year and beyond. We recently enrolled our children in BISD after previously homeschooling them, and my wife, after working part-time for the district, has stepped into a full-time teaching position. At a time when other families and teachers have left the district, our family has decided to increase our commitment to BISD. Because I love this district and I love this city, I'm here to raise a serious concern regarding the K through 2nd grade curriculum. After just 3 days of instruction, my wife has encountered curriculum containing numerous egregious errors. 2 days in a row, her lessons were completely missing their core texts. Demonstrations of learning, DOLs, have included incoherent questions and asked students about material and vocabulary that was never covered in the lesson. Notes for the teacher's instructions are often garbled and riddled with errors. Furthermore, last Friday, my wife left her school after 6 p.m. without access to the lessons she was supposed to teach the following Monday. This is unacceptable. Our students deserve better, and our teachers need stronger support to succeed. Superintendent Massey, I ask you if you would support our teachers by providing the resources they need, specifically developmentally appropriate, accurate curriculum delivered on time. That's what every student in BISD deserves. I know that every single one of you are sitting in the chair you're in now because you care about Beaumont, and I care about Beaumont as well, and I'm looking forward together, not just talking about student success, but seeing it become a reality together. Thank you for all that you guys do for our community. I'm looking forward to brighter days together in BISD.
Thank you.
Linda Gilmore.
Linda Gilmore, retired teacher. After 2 weeks of waiting for a response from HR and several visits to the administration building about my concerns, I decided to apply to speak to the board. I finally got a call last night to discuss 2 of my 3 concerns. My substitute PIN number was given to me. My second concern was about my 200 hours of time dealing with my personal leave pay. I thought I was supposed to come to work every day. I would have a decent buyout. Through my lack of reading in the employee handbook, the HR director showed me a full-time employee who was employed by the district before 1996 through 1997 would be eligible for payoff. So after putting in 200 hours, I lost all. Everyone needs to read and either use them or lose them, or go to AR and have it explained to them. Also, I hope everyone in my district gets a contract before September 1st, and they read each line before you sign it, and the handbook from beginning to end. The community meetings are good, but one mistake that is made having all questions before. Let them who attended have questions to ask. Also, have a video showing real school children in Beaumont being taught, and not like the ones on the video that look like actors. Parents of BISD, it is time to stand up and demand to know your child's how he's being taught. Board members, you cannot be yes people all the time. Thank you.
Raymond Ford. Mark Gonering. Oh, Raymond Ford's here. I apologize.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey and members of the board. I'm here tonight to simply plant a seed, and hopefully my schedule allows me to come back and water that seed every month. My name is Raymond Ford Jr., and I am the founder, president, and head coach of 409 Swim, a local 501c3 nonprofit competitive youth summer swim program. I'm respectfully asking the board and administration to consider allowing 409 Swim, along with other local youth organizations, the opportunity to rent BISD bus transportation for competitions outside of the Beaumont area. Our program has grown from 34 swimmers in 2024 to 57 in 2025 to 71 in 2026, and I expect the growth to continue. In our first 2 years, we competed primarily here in the Golden Triangle. This year, 52 of our 71 swimmers traveled to Rosenberg for the Taft Regional Swim Meet. I believe that number could have been higher if bus transportation had been available. Of those 52 swimmers, 15 qualified for the state Taft Swim Meet at Texas A&M University 2 weeks ago. In 2027, we're working toward competing in the Northwest Aquatic League, which will give our swimmers additional opportunities to compete in the Northeast, Houston, and Humboldt areas during May and June. The majority of our swimmers live in Beaumont and attend BISD schools, and several of our older swimmers represent Beaumont United and Westbrook High Schools on their swim teams. So while 409 Swim isn't a BISD program, the kids we're trying to provide these opportunities for are largely BISD kids. Transportation can be one of the biggest obstacles. Not every family can make repeated trips to Houston, Humboldt, or Rosenberg. And to be clear, we're not asking BISD to provide transportation for free. We're asking for an opportunity to rent the buses, pay the driver, associated costs, and meet the district's requirements. 409 Swim carries team insurance, and we're willing to provide whatever documentation BISD requires. Our motto is developing champions, building leaders. Swimming is the vehicle, but our purpose is bigger than swimming. We're exposing Beaumont kids to competition, discipline, teamwork, and opportunities beyond our immediate area. Tonight, I'm simply asking you to reconsider opening that door once again. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and for everything you do for the children of Beaumont. Thank y'all.
Mark Gonering.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My family and I moved to the district several years back. I have been working in the district as an attorney for over a decade. And I was reticent to move to the district for a long time because Beaumont ISD frankly had a reputation that was not favorable. After talking with people in the district and learning more about the district, I came to realize that despite living in Barbers Hill, which is renowned for excellence, BISD had a better gifted and talented program here. The Pegasus program was fantastic. The STEM program is fantastic. My students, I have a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. My 14-year-old is starting 9th grade almost as a junior at Westbrook right now. My 12-year-old is 7th grade age. He took and passed the math test for the 8th grade STAR test last year and is in 9th grade math. He took and passed 7th grade English, 7th grade STAR test, 8th grade science. It's fantastic. If we lived in Barbers Hill ISD, we would not have this accelerated program despite their reputation for excellence. BISD is getting a bit of a bum rap because of some things that happened that didn't really apply to academics a decade ago. But that doesn't change the fact that these programs are very important, and I would like tonight to urge the board to do all they can to preserve as much of this excellence as is possible, because it is fantastic. And these are the very best things in BISD, in my opinion, and they draw people who actually care about academics in a way that most people can't understand. I will tell you that the first week of school has been a little rocky, but we have received great support from high-ranking members in the district, and we hope to continue to work as partnership with BISD. And I just can't say enough good things, and I just hope that you guys can preserve as much as possible. Please.
Joseph Malbrough. Greg Landry.
Excuse me. Greg Landry, 5190 Tennyson. First of all, you might have to change the time of these meetings because I teach at Westbrook in the Social Studies Department. I teach psychology and sociology. We can't clock out to 4:45, and luckily I was a speaker and I made it. But you might want to think about changing our Westbrook times back. Okay, let me start. I'm really here to address the Board of Managers only and the public, to educate the public about some things. I don't really have time to say everything I want to say. I'm going to go real quick. Number one, the Board of Managers, you've ruined Westbrook. When I hired in under Nicholas Phillips in 2022, we were a D-rated campus. That's D as in dog. And we raised ourselves up to a C last year. Really, I think the state kind of screwed us over. We were almost a B. This year, we're a B campus. And now it's like you took all the work we did for 5 years, wadded it up, and threw it in the toilet. I mean, I don't think y'all even know I don't think you really what's going on. I don't know if y'all talk to teachers or if you consult with parents or you consult with principals. Did you ask Mr. Phillips why he left? Or Paul Goebel at Vincent, who I used to work with at Westbrook, he left the district. He's now the principal at Lumberton High School. Mr. Phillips is at Hardin Jefferson. It's BISD's loss. Okay, I'm running out of time. Let's go. The students hate the 90-minute block classes. We used to have 50-minute classes, okay? 90 minutes. They sit in a room for 90 minutes. They have a 5-minute transition. We used to have a 6-minute transmission. Westbrook's very big. Y'all should come by and visit it. Come to my room, room 308. Now, I can show you how hard it is to get around the school. Anyway, I surveyed all my classes. They hate it. One girl said on the first day she liked it, and on the second day she said she hated it. Y'all couldn't sit in the room for 90 minutes 5 times a day with your only break is lunch. Plus, I'm a professional. I'm going to do what my bosses say. I respect my principal. I respect my assistant principals. But I only get a conference period every other day. Like today, I had to go from 8:30 to 4:30. Okay, I'm running out of time. The library's closed. We were promised the library wouldn't close. The library's closed. Kids can't check out books. I've got to move on. One problem I have, and it's nothing personal to the people sitting around me, but y'all are giving away money to a bunch of outsiders. I doubt any of these people are going to be in Beaumont when the TA leaves. Quickly, the top 21 people, I have the salary list, by the way, but anybody listening on YouTube, you can get this public information. The top 21 people are paid $4 million in salary. $4 million. I don't know where y'all get the money. I'm afraid we're going to go in the red like we did 10 years ago. I did a little percentage with figures. I don't know if it's accurate, but God bless you all.
That concludes public comment.
Okay. At this time, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Massey for her presentation.
Do you have a microphone? Hello, board. Good to see you tonight. We are going to address a few things in my presentation tonight. I want to just start, though, by reminding us of our vision and our mission. You've heard it a couple of times tonight, that every student will be known, supported, challenged, and prepared. That is part of the process of going through an intervention, and anytime change happens, it's very difficult. When we come in and communicate, coach, give feedback so that exceptional teaching is the norm, it is challenging, it is difficult. And yes, there are some teachers struggling to get through that. We hold leadership accountable, and we do expect measurable growth every single day. This is a process that's going to take time, and I hear the people communicating. The curriculum isn't perfect yet. We are slowly getting it there. We have 12 people working in the curriculum department. HISD had 125. And we're actually creating the same amount of curriculum as Houston because that's what's required. It's just we don't have all the resources, so yeah, there's some mistakes. We are fixing them as we go, and we're doing our very best to provide the highest quality of instruction and resources for our teachers and students. So there will be some hiccups, which there have been, but I do want to say, no matter how much they're getting paid, this cabinet is killing it. They are working the most extended hours, and I'm not asking for this, but this cabinet and extended cabinet has put 12, 13, 14, 16 hours a day in for the last 4 weeks. And I would like to honor them and ask them to stand up, and I want to thank them for all the time and energy, especially these executive directors out here. Would you guys please stand up? You guys are doing such a great job. Everybody is. They are working unbelievable hours. They're solving problems every minute of every day. And honestly, the work could not be done. The transition could not happen without this team doing the work. It does take a lot of work. But I want to thank them because they don't have to be here, and they are. So we're going to look at the state of the district in a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you the official data, which is not much different than what I've been showing you all along. The actual number of DNF campuses has not changed. It's exactly what I've been reporting all summer. And each school's designation is what we thought it was. So I'm going to share that with you very quickly, and then we're going to move on so I can talk to you about both our leave policy and where we stand right now with absences. I also am going to touch on the Pegasus program so that you can fully understand why the program was paused and why it must be paused. So we'll start with the state of the district and a reminder of the goals. We've set 2 goals so far. We still have 1 to go, and that's CCMR. So the first 2 goals were already set. But goal 3 here is the original goal set by the administration prior to us returning. It says the percentage of graduates that meet the criteria for CCMR will increase from 78% to 90% by 2030. That goal will have to be significantly changed because of changes in CCMR by the state of Texas. But what I do want to show you right now is where we stand based on the information we have, and I will let you know when I believe we'll have the rest of the information to complete this goal. So this is what I want to show you. These criterion down the row here, this is all the criteria that are ways that you can earn a CCMR point in high school. You can, up until this last school year, you could earn your CCMR point by taking and passing your college prep class. You could take a TSI test and meet it. You could get an industry-based certification, either as a completer or as a concentrator, and I'll explain those 2 things in a second. You could get your associate's degree. You could take a dual credit on-ramps or AP class to get that point. You could go into the military, or for special education, you would have to meet your special education requirements, and you also get your point. So there's a lot of ways to get your point. Right now, unofficially, we are at 85% CCMR with the college prep course. So what I did for you by outlining all of those areas in boxes, colored boxes, is so that you could see what's going away this year. So the red box, where almost all of our points are, is no longer allowable under the state law. So it won't be a point that will ever be used after the graduates that just passed us. Now remember, we're lagging a year. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. So the graduates that just walked the stage in 2026, we will not see their official data until next year. This is 2025, class of 2025. So all this information happened actually 2 years ago. And in a year, you'll see this year's group. So we had officially 1,074 students graduate. 918 of them were able to get their CCMR point with the prep class. But I did want you to see that red box over to the side in the corner, that once that prep class is removed, this would actually have been our score, 28%. So even though the goal is set at 90, we can't possibly get there right now without that college prep class. I also want to remind you that next year, this time next year, when we talk about this data, it will be out of our hands. It has already happened before I even got here. So that we still have 1 more year of data coming in that is out of my control. And then the next year, it's going to be even more challenging because the prep class will be gone. The year we just finished is the last year the prep class is allowed. Once that prep class is gone, you're going to look at about 28% or lower. So if you notice, one of the boxes is yellow. That's the IBC, the industry-based certification. Right now, we're sitting at 34%, but this is the data we're still waiting to what we call clean up. And that's because you have a completer or you have a concentrator. The completer means you actually got in as a freshman and you started down an industry-based pathway as a 9th grader, you completed your 9th grade course, then you completed your 10th grade course, you completed your 11th grade course, and your 12th grade course in the same pathway. If you got your completer, then you got your point. This year, if you got a concentrator, you also got your point. It means you may not even have started any pathway as a 9th grader, but you may have started as a 10th grader, or as a 10th grader, as a 9th grader, you started something, you didn't like it, so you switched it in 10th grade. If you did any kind of switch where you didn't finish all 4 years in the same pathway, it's called a concentrator. That's the number we're trying to actually separate right now, because the concentrator is being removed from the validation of points. And we have students right now who are on a pathway that have already missed the opportunity to be in a completer. So it's kind of like starting fresh with 9th grade and 10th grade to get them caught up to getting all 4 classes in the time frame that we have them. That is why we think that 34% will actually drop once we know the concentrator numbers compared to the completer numbers, which means the 28% will probably look more like 23 or 24% once we see the difference. So that's just kind of where we are in our CCMR. I believe I'll be able to talk you through a goal in the next month or two, and we should be able to approve that CCMR goal around October to November. Moving on, here is our official ratings for each school. You can see domain 1, 2A, 2B, and domain 3. You also see the overall actual rating for each school. We do have 1A and 1B this year. And congratulations to Westbrook for being a B. And then we have 3 schools that are C's, and the rest are D and F's. You do see 2 schools with asterisks beside them. Those schools are forced into a D and an F because if you, in the 4 areas of domain, 3 domains but 4 areas, if you have 3 out of the 4 areas that hit a D or an F, it forces you into a D or an F category. So since Marshall has 3 Ds and a C, even though they would have scored a 73, they got a 69, it's forced because of the 3 Ds. And then for Guess, it's forced to an F. It would have been a 61, but it's forced to an F because of the 3 Fs. So that's what those asterisks mean. This is showing you our trend from 2023 to 2024 to 2025 to 2026. And it also shows you the difference between 25 and 26, schools that went up in score and schools that went down. We have a long way to go. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions about the CCMR or the data I just shared that is official now? Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. On the college prep class, is that a single class?
Yes, it's a single class.
Okay. And it's the same class they've been doing for many years?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you said that it's a year lag and a year behind. So it wouldn't be your body of work that we'll be seeing.
Yeah, in a year. But of course, our body of work for this board is going to pop up on the 3rd year, and
Right.
it's going to be without the prep course. So it's going to feel like a big hit.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is our leave policy. It's DEC local, talking about teacher attendance, leave, and student achievement. This is a really important piece for me because teachers are stressed, teachers are dealing with a transition and a new culture of accountability, which is absolutely necessary. And I'm going to show you some data to help you understand why. For an employee to be able to take leave, it is a benefit. But teacher presence is a student benefit. Both have to be used responsibly. Teachers deserve leave, and students deserve teachers in the classroom as often as possible. It is a job. Teacher presence is an instructional resource, and repeated teacher absences definitely does reduce instructional quality. It reduces learning. There is a lot of research, but I'm going to take you back all the way to 2008, all the way back to, do teacher absences impact student achievement, from the Educational Evaluation and Policy Analysis. All 3 articles I'm going to cite for you tonight say the exact same thing, that teacher absences negatively impact outcomes. Just 10 days of teacher absences negatively impact student outcomes. This one particularly, they looked at 4th grade. This one, they looked at elementary school in general. And not only did it say it lowers student achievement, teacher absences, but even that bottom part, schools serving greater concentrations of economically disadvantaged students experience higher teacher absence rates. And that is what we're experiencing. And then this last one from 2026 called Addressing the Rise in Teacher Absenteeism. It is looking at, yes, teachers need leave. Teachers need adequate time to go see a doctor, to be sick and recover from that illness, for sure. But it also shows how achievement is negatively impacted by teacher absenteeism. This is last year's results, and it's a lot. So let me just go through a couple of things. Right here at the very top, it says prior year's teachers. 1,046 teachers from 2025 to 2026. There were 264 of those teachers, a quarter of our teachers, that took more than 10 days. And if you look at this middle section that says leave day distribution, 114 teachers took between 10 and 15 days. 30 teachers took between, well, actually, here's it, 185 took between 10 and 15 days. 52 people took between 15 and 20 days, and 27 people took more than 20 days. Of all these people who exceeded their days, 157 of them are retained. They're back. They're still with us. That might be fine, and it might not be. Because when you look at teacher absences over the last year, that equaled 19,019 days where a student did not have a classroom teacher in front of them. 19,019 total days of teacher absences last year. That's 133,133 hours of instruction missed. That's approximately 18 days off per teacher. And not even including vacancies that substitutes had to sit in for long term, we paid over $1.3 million in substitute pay in addition to paying the teachers who were taking days off. When you look at the leave policy for BISD, and I'm going to ask you to vote on an additional part to the policy tonight. Right now, employees get 5 state days, 5 local days, and we're going to ask you to approve them being able to use 5 accumulated days per year. So that's up to 15 days per year that they get legally outside of protected leave, which is like FMLA, which would be an additional amount of days off. Already, this would be more days than every bit of the research suggests would impact student outcomes negatively. But I want to go to the next step. I'd like to show you every day off that the teacher has this year already without taking a single day off. Already, they have 27 days off, and that does not include the June and July of 22 days in June and 22 days of July that they also get off. Already, it doesn't include the 10 to 15 days that we will give them through policy. It does not include protected leave, and it does not include those summer days. That is a lot of time off, and any business, any of your businesses, would let go of any person who got that many days off and still needed 100 more. We had 66 employees who took more than 100 days last year. Here's FML. Now, there are valid reasons to take FML, but there are also reasons where people are using it in a negative way and not legitimately. And I'll give you one example without saying who it is. A person from my own team went to one of our doctors a week ago to get a regular checkup. As soon as the doctor saw the ID badge that said Beaumont ISD, he immediately asked, "Do you need a month off?" Because Beaumont ISD teachers need months off. She said no, she needed to get a checkup. He did not even give her an exam. He wrote her a prescription and she walked out the door. That is not okay. Last year, 2,770 days were used for FMLA by just 121 employees, and 97 of those were teachers. That's 9.2% of our teaching staff that took time off for FMLA. They averaged 28.6 days off per those teachers, 97 teachers averaging almost 30 days off, in addition to 5 state days, 5 local days, and accumulated days, and 27 other holidays. All of this impacts learning. So I made sure I did my due diligence because I am going to hold the bar high. I have the right that once a teacher, an employee goes to the doctor and requests FML from a doctor, I have the right to a second opinion of my own doctor's choice. We are going to follow that policy. BISD will pay to have a second opinion done to ensure that it is done right under the right legal requirements. And we will follow through and deny leave that is not done right. And we will look at patterns of doctors who have just natural patterns of handing out FMLA, and we will disclude them, and if I have to, I'll take them to court. We are not going to play games with students' lives, and that includes FML. So there are two truths that we are going to hold at the same time. Protected leave must be respected. Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of people who legitimately need it, and we want them to have that. But also the 19,390 hours of lost instructional time is a reality that's hurting our kids. And if you don't remember, look back at the scores. But I want you to know where we are right now as of the first 7 days of school. Already 110 teachers have put in absences. And already 3,417 students have been absent from the first 7 days of school. This isn't no-shows. This is after they've shown up and now they're absent. I don't know how we're supposed to fix this problem if teachers don't show up for school and if students don't show up for school. So I want to show you something. This is Beaumont in 25-26. This is the percent of teacher attendance in Beaumont ISD from last school year. Amazingly, it's almost identical to our state student attendance numbers. We are at 89% in student attendance. And how interesting that our teacher attendance is exactly the same. I don't know how we expect students to show up when we don't even have teachers showing up. So I decided to do some legwork just today, and I called the Deputy Superintendent of Houston because I wanted to know if this number is good or not, or if it's adequate, is it normal? I wanted to know, how do we compare with Houston? So here we go. I want to remind you, in this intervention, and yes, it was difficult for teachers the first year. We lost a lot of them that couldn't get through the transformation. We had a lot of hiccups as we were going through that transformation, and it was difficult. And just as a reminder, in 2023, when Houston started out, they had 121 DNF schools, and they had 97 A and B schools. In 2026, going into their 4th year, finishing their 3rd year, they have 13 DNF schools, and they have 205 A and B schools. So yes, an intervention is hard. Going through this type of transformation with a culture that expects high expectations, that you show up for your job and you do your job when you have 27 days off already. Yes, I have high expectations. But it gets you not just good scores. It means students are reading. It means students are doing math. It means they're getting scholarships. It means they are better prepared than they've ever been. And yeah, that took a lot of heartache on teachers that couldn't do the job or struggle through the job. And a bunch stayed and got through it. And they're better off because of it. Do you want to see what Houston's teacher attendance looked like last year in their third year of transformation? Here it is. 97% attendance on the teacher side. Showing up every day for kids, doing the job. That's what it takes. We did have 21 teachers here in BISD, 21 out of 1,047 that had perfect attendance last year. And we will be honoring them at the next board meeting because that is amazing. But it shouldn't be 21. It should be at least 221 that had perfect attendance. That's not required. It tells me you care enough to put everything on the line for the kids that are in your room. This is not a job that is about adults. This is a job that's about kids. We said yes to getting them educated. That's what we said yes to. And that's what I expect. So listen up, parents. I'm going to hold teachers accountable, but I'm going to hold kids accountable. And I'm certainly going to hold parents accountable. I am not going to let up. So I looked up the policy, I looked up the state policy, and BISD doesn't have a very clear one. It just matches the state pretty much, but we're about to clear it up next month because I'm going to give you a regulation that we're going to hopefully approve. So I can set the standard for what is excused and what is unexcused. Just for an example, I had 2 parents call the superintendent's office last week, one child with 117 absences, wondering why his child is being held back, and another one with 95 absences, wondering why they're being held back. Both of them had excused absences from start to finish. Not one of them held accountable for truancy. Unacceptable. Here's the policy in the state. Every 3 unexcused absences in a 4-week time frame is already moving you toward truancy. We will hold parents accountable. With 3,700 absences already, and I'm certainly expecting that to go up on a Friday tomorrow, we are going to start holding truancy, and you can be sure you will see people in court over this, because I'm going to set regulations that holds parents accountable to getting kids to school. There is no way we can do this job without teachers in front of kids and without kids in front of teachers. It's an impossible ask. So yeah, I'm going to hold the expectations high. And just as a reminder, that teacher in front of the kid impacts them, look at our scores. We can't keep protecting adults. We've got to protect kids. This is real. This is not about adults. Well, actually, it has been about adults. But it's not going to be anymore. And I'll take whatever heat I need to take because we have to make it about kids. Now, before I go on, are there any questions about the leave policy?
I want to commend you for going in the direction because there's a high correlation between teachers not being there and students not being there and having an expectation to learn. It doesn't make sense to me. 100 years ago when I coached and taught, I came to work every day. I came to work. I probably made myself take a day off during the year because I had so many days. You're off as a teacher. And I know things have changed, but if you're committed to work, you're committed to work. Thank you.
I will say one more thing. Give me 1 second. I want you to know that I've been in schools every single day since we started school. I have been in classrooms. I have jumped in and co-taught right next to teachers so they could see what it looks like to model. I've seen teachers struggling and struggling and struggling. I've seen principals struggling. And I can tell you right now, I haven't fired a single teacher. I haven't even hinted at firing a single teacher. I'm not trying to fire any teacher, any principal. In fact, I've looked at this team right back here and I've said, if they're struggling, we have to point back to ourselves. I want us to figure out why we haven't given them the right support. We have to keep giving them more support, more support. It is not about being angry at them. It's about giving them more support. Our job is to bring them up, and if they will stay with us, we'll give them the support that they need. But it doesn't just happen overnight. It's going to take time. Lori?
Well, I totally agree, and I think what you have said is really such a serious, serious problem in our community. I mean, the scores speak for themselves. What you've said about the past absences, which I had no idea about, is shocking. It's shocking. And none of us, teachers, parents, should accept this. And what you're offering is, this has been a very, very big change and an institutionally cultural change. And we owe it to our community and to our children. Only a third of the whole BISD kids are at grade level in reading, less than that in math. How can industry come here when there is nobody to hire? This is so serious. And your efforts to start at kindergarten, first and second are right on target. Hopefully in 3 years we'll see the fruits of that. I understand that there are probably some issues with curriculum building, as was mentioned today. I have confidence that that will improve, but it is such a drastic change. Everybody just has to ride the tide. This has to happen, because if it doesn't, we can't keep this up. Something worse will happen to all of us in our community. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you to all these teachers who are hanging in there.
I agree.
We need you, and we need you to create an atmosphere too where children want to go to school, and that's hard. That part of it is super hard, but hang in there with all of us.
Sandy, you had mentioned that they have 15 days of accumulated, it's what, 5 days of...
They have 5 days of state, 5 days of local, and then if they have been in the district long enough to accrue days, then they can use up to 5 in 1 year. That's what I'm asking you to vote on tonight.
Got it. I've been reading just on social media, and people have been sending, a lot of times what people are saying is they don't have any opportunity to go to the doctor because you've extended hours on the front end, on the back end, and they don't have a lot of freedom. Is this the time that they would be able to use that, or maybe the summertime? Can you maybe just clear that up for me? Because what I'm hearing...
I mean, generic doctor appointments, a lot of the time, if it's a female appointment, you literally can't go until a year later. You have to wait a full year. That would be one of those appointments that's difficult, because if I go on a Monday this year, I need to go on the Tuesday the next year, and then the Wednesday the next year, and the Thursday the next year. It's just a difficult one. But that's why you have 5 days in state and 5 state, 5 local. You have 10 days. But you also have, I plan doctor's appointments when I'm off in the summers. There are thoughtful moments where you can plan ahead. You do have two months in the summer, unless you go to summer school and you're coaching summer school or teaching summer school, and even then it's shorter days and not a very long time frame.
So the idea would be is just plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
And not everything could be planned ahead, but that's why you do have 5 state, 5 local, and you have 5 accumulated if you need it.
For the emergency or something that needs to happen.
And listen, we're not crazy. If a teacher winds up with cancer and goes on FML, we're not looking to hurt that person or get rid of them. I mean, we are trying to make the people who honestly are using FML for the right reasons, they need time off for the right reasons. Yes, you need time off, but if you need a mental health day every other week, this is not the job for you. You picked the wrong profession. Okay, I've got one more section to go over with you, and then if you have any more questions, feel free. Let's talk about the legacy of Pegasus. What most parents don't understand is that Marshall STEM, Pegasus at Odom, the elementary programs that are leading into those are actually what we call credit by exam. So students have been offered a test, and then the test allows them to either skip a grade level or in most cases skip a subject in the next grade level, or 2 subjects in the next grade level, or 4 subjects in the next grade level. So when I realized that Pegasus is a tested program where kids test, they skip subjects in a particular grade level to jump them, then I had to do my due diligence and look up policy for how credit by exam works. Once I did all the deep dive, I paused the program. So what I'd like to share with you tonight is first the information that I gathered, and then the next steps so that this board can do its legal duty to set up credit by exam legally for the upcoming school year. Pegasus will not ever be what it has been, and you're about to see why. Because of the legal ground that Pegasus stands on, let's talk about state legal, this is under legal, state legal requirements that allow students to be able to skip a subject or a grade level. We're going to start with just subject, like a specific course. Here's what must happen. This is under Texas Education Code 28.023 and 19 TAC 7424. You guys can look it up. It's really easy. AI will pull it up for you really fast. It must be an official exam. So there are only 2 universities in the state of Texas that are allowed to be used. It's the University of Texas at Austin and Texas Tech. Those are the only 2 places you can purchase the exam to provide to students. You can, however, develop your own. If you do develop your own, you have to follow rules. Your development process for creating the test must be made public. You cannot use a single question that has ever been published anytime, anywhere, ever. It has to be an original test question that has never been used. Also, board approval is required for an original test. It means all of the board would have had to look at the test, have all of the checklist of how you know every question is an original question, and you would have to approve the test. If the test changes, you then have to approve it again. These are all things to create an official exam experience. In addition to that, the students must pass at 80%. That is a state requirement, 80%. This includes every single standard tested for the course you're trying to skip. So if I'm a 5th grader, because this is the example we're going to use today as 5th grade. If I'm a 5th grader taking a credit by exam to skip 6th grade courses, I would take all the tested standards for 6th grade to prove that I know them at least 80%. That would allow my 5th grader to jump over the 6th grade and into 7th grade, or a just content for math or ELA or science or social studies. It is about 100 questions that both of the state of Texas schools use, 100 questions, and it is a timed test. So we also have to prove our practices align with that. And then afterwards, we would have to publicize our results. We have to publicize our practices for creating the test, publicize how we tested the testing environment, and then we have to publicize, you would have to have seen it, so would the whole world, the number of students scoring at a 70% and the number of students scoring at an 80% because the state of Texas does an audit. It's a round robin kind of audit, so at some point Beaumont ISD comes onto the audit. And we have to be able to prove that the kids who skipped courses scored an 80%. That's legal. So that's just a single course. To skip a whole grade level, it's the same as what you just saw, but there's more. You have to then take all 4 of the core class exams. You have to take math, science, social studies, and ELA. All 4 must be taken, and all 4 must be scored at an 80%. If even one isn't scored at an 80%, you cannot leap the grade level. The testing windows, every exam has to be offered 4 times a year. And students can attempt an exam each testing window. They're about a 3-month period. So in 3 months, you can take the test 1 time. If you get the 80%, great, you've already done it. If you don't, then you can take it again in the next testing window. For the testing windows, you have to hit 80% before the first day of the new school year to leap a subject or grade level. And for science and social studies, it is also required to take that test to skip a grade level. You can't just assume science and social studies. So these are all the state requirements. Let's talk about where BISD failed. We used our own exams. We used all items that were previously published. We set our own cut scores, not 80%. We set the cut score at 40%. We allowed students to leap content that scored below our own cut score of 40%. We promoted students to take upper level grade science and social studies who never even took a CBE for science and social studies. On the approval part, the board did not approve any CBE exams that were written by BISD. There was no report ever found in the last few years that we looked back. No report of testing reliability was publicized for how we gave the test, where was the testing environment, what was the time frame, were all the TEKs tested, and no data was publicized to show the number of kids who scored at 70 or 80%. So basically we followed none of the rules. So I want to unofficially report to you. You should have had an official report, but if you had, you would not have been able to approve it. So let me unofficially report to you using our current 6th graders who were 5th graders last school year. We had 77 5th graders that were given a credit by exam to be in the Pegasus or Marshall STEM program. I want you to know the test that they took. So this, remember, these are 5th graders. They have to take the 6th grade test. In the 6th grade test, all 6th grade standards for math, there are 52 of them. Remember, one of the rules is all 52 must be tested. You cannot skip a single standard. We tested 13 of the 52. For the 7th grade, some students, by the way, some of the 5th graders also took a 7th grade CBE. And so now, instead of just being in a 7th grade class, they skipped all the way from a 5th grade to taking Algebra 1. So on that 7th grade test, there are 43 standards. We tested 7. So already, so far off the mark. Here was the ELA test. There are 78 standards that must have been tested on our test. We only tested 15 of them. Now I'd like to show you the 77 students and their scores.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Who allowed for this to happen?
The last administration.
If we were to have been caught doing this, what would happen?
We would not, if it had been caught, it would have to have been put a stop to. So I self-reported to TEA myself because we were doing everything wrong. And luckily, they're giving us like a chance to do it right as a new board. So I don't know exactly what would have happened. They would have had to do it right. And probably grandfathered the kids in that I did. So the 7th and 8th graders were grandfathered in who already were in the program. They got to keep moving forward just like they are. But the 5th graders I did not allow to move forward. And you're about to see why. So even though I covered the names, and these literally are the names on this black box, I just put a black box over them so you couldn't see the names. I want to just give you a little bit of information. See this yellow circle right here that says all ELL, ELA, SS, and math science. So if it says math science, it means they were promoted in math and science. If it says all, it means they were promoted in math, science, social studies, and ELA. All 4. If it says ELA and SS, they were promoted in ELA and social studies. So this just gives you context to this particular student. They scored a 17 on our fake ELA test, and they were promoted to math and science. They scored a 43 on the math test, and they were promoted to skip the grade level. You guys hear what I just said, right? This kid scored a 17 on our own fake test and a 43. And they were still moved up a grade level. These are current 6th graders that would have skipped 6th grade math and jumped to 7th or 8th grade. These are all their scores in this group. Not a single one hit 80% in ELA or math on our own fake test. But some of them didn't even hit our own grade level, their own cut score of 40%, and they still passed them. Of the 77 kids who took the test, every single kid jumped over 6th grade. Every kid. So here's the next group. 0 BISD 5th graders in this group hit the required 80% in ELA or math, and none of the tests were taken for science or social studies. They passed them in science and social studies because they took a math or ELA test, not because they took a social studies or science test. Here's the next group. Zero BISD 5th graders hit the required 80% in ELA or math, yet they were promoted, many of them in every subject. You're talking about parents who should be mad, but they shouldn't be mad at me. They should be mad that the system allowed their kids to take a fake test under fake circumstances and gave them a fake jump, told them a story that wasn't real. It doesn't help kids. There's a reason why it's so hard to do credit by exam, which I will show you in a second. Now this group, this last group of kids, happen to have a group of 21 students that hit our fake 80% mark. But, I mean, like I said, we didn't test all the standards. We used published items. None of it was reliable, none of it was accurate, none of it was legal. And of course, not a single student hit our own test at 80% in math, but yet many, almost all of them, were moved forward in math. Now, what I'd like to show you is the legitimate official reporting that the University of Texas reports. This is their real reporting. By the way, in your notebook, you have the full report. In one of your tabs, it is the full report. I am going to show you the 5th grade results from the University of Texas, and I would like to remind you something. Beaumont ISD tested 77 fifth graders for credit by exam. The entire state of Texas tested 74 on an official exam. 74. Somehow the city of Beaumont beat the entire state of Texas in the number of kids that were allowed to take a credit by exam. They have to be approved. There's a reason why not every kid just gets to take these tests. You have to have a certain number of scores. You have to have a teacher approval. You have to have school's office approval to even take the test. It's why it has to be official. And look at the percent of kids who passed out of those 74, 9%. In the state of Texas, officially, only 9% of the 74 kids actually hit 80%, yet all of BISD 77 got to skip the grade. That's ELA. Here's math. 0% of fifth graders hit the 80% mark on our math exam, yet 53 were advanced. There were 501 testers for math. Only 39% in the entire state of Texas passed. Of course, you guys know for social studies and science, none of our kids even took an exam. Yet 53 were progressed in science. And 53, well, actually, this one is off. That is the same as this one. 69 were promoted in social studies. This is why I paused Pegasus. Yes, there are a group of parents who like that their kids are special and privileged and traveling up together through this Pegasus cohort. That is a lie. That is false. And that is getting them there through illegal means. And yeah, I'm putting a stop to it. Every kid deserves high quality instruction. Every kid deserves to progress. But we also deserve to do it the right way. So next steps for us, my team, is going to bring to you our policy that we would like to put in place for credit by exam that follows the law. By the way, BISD has the policy. It is exactly under our perfect policy. It matches the state of law, the state of Texas law perfectly. There's nothing that doesn't match it. We just didn't follow it. So it's already in policy perfectly. What we're going to do is make sure you know which exam group we're going to use, and then we're going to ask you to approve the process so that we can open the testing window, which starts in January. And that way, any student who actually wants to take a real credit by exam in a legitimate legal way can do that. Only it will be very unlikely that 77 kids in one grade level get to be passed up all at one time, like we did here. Which actually doesn't help. It widens the gap. It's called Domain 3, which most of our schools bombed on. Domain 3 is the separation between your highest performing population and your lowest performing population. So all we did was widen that gap by taking all the kids who we think are the smartest kids and putting them in cohorts together, letting them progress past grade levels, and now all the sixth graders that are left are your lowest performing kids. It widens the gap. So yes, privileged kids get more. But the kids who really need attention get less. And every kid needs the right attention. But we'll do it legally. Any questions about the Pegasus, Marshall STEM, credit by exam?
I have a question. So the kids that went through Pegasus, how did they do in their skipping a grade?
There is no data. The state does not require any data from credit by exam. They do not.
But I mean, as students, once they enter the Pegasus program, do they take
It
STAR
is varied.
tests?
It is varied. I've heard many anecdotal reports from parents. Some parents, like the one you heard tonight, their kids do very well. Most likely they would have done well no matter what. And then there are kids that are also in the same social status that parents have told me their kids cannot make it through college, that they're struggling greatly, and they wonder if it had to do with the fact that they skipped too many foundational concepts.
Yeah. Well, that's what my kids told me too. They went through Westbrook. They were top of their class. They made great scores on their ACT and SAT class. They got into great colleges. But they were in school with other kids from public schools, and those kids knew more than they did. And it just makes a parent wonder, and you don't really know that until you're in the college arena. Before then, we all think our kids are great and the smartest in the world. Of course, we all do. We love our children.
Of course.
But the reality is, as you said, and it's disservice to the child. They graduate and they think, and even from middle school, I'm an A student, and then you get into Westbrook and there's more rigor, and all of a sudden you realize I was shortchanged, and kids know that.
They do. Any other comments or questions? I hope you understand now why I did shut the Pegasus program down until we get it legal. It's just, when you'll only honestly have 2 or 3 kids that can pass this test, a true credit by exam. It's not going to be full cohorts. It's just not possible.
I just want to thank you for going through that tonight. I know when this was announced, I know we're moving very, very fast in general, trying to right-size some things. And so when this was announced, I think it took a lot of people by surprise. But this, from my perspective, is a way for us to show, although not a great answer or not a great solution to a perceived benefit, but it shows that we're attempting to do the right things, and we're attempting to right-size this in a way that makes sense, is legal, and is fair to kids, and provides a benefit in the long term with maybe some short-term pains. But I just think that I just wanted to thank you for going through this and explaining this in a more broad way. I know you've done a lot of that since the decision was made, but this is really, really helpful, so I appreciate it.
Any other?
I certainly agree with that. It's a tough call, and I appreciate you making it.
Thank you, Dan.
I just appreciate you and your team finding it and putting a halt to it and getting us back in state standards. Thank you.
And that is the end of my presentation. So I would like to invite, I think, Rachel back up.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to present to you the answer to a question we were asked by Superintendent Massey, which was, what would happen if we provided the most support to the students most in need? And so we are asking for you to approve the naming of the Elevate Learning Center, which was once the Austin Innovation Center. This is a district-wide learning and resource center designed to bring services and support together for students, families, educators, and our community. So what is housed here? What will this look like? So the departments are Pathways, which I'll talk about in a moment, as well as our entire curriculum and instruction team, our educator learning and professional development, health services, our BMT ISD police with outfitted facilities that are purposely built for them, and ELI, which is an incredible program for our aspiring principals, assistant principals, and teacher leaders who are dedicated and committing to serving our future BISD students. As you can see, we have articulated all of these departments and where they lie. There are a couple of areas that are shared spaces, and that's meant to encourage collaboration through all the departments. And when we go through and think about what does connected support mean, it means that all students should receive high quality instruction, intervention, and support. It means that our families should be able to have classes, resources, and opportunities that strengthen them. It also means that that support has to have proximity. If it's far away, it's not going to give access to students in need in the same urgency that we are committed to bringing. And finally, it means that you aren't alone. When we say you are known, it means that truly here, we want you to come together and have support in a way that is meaningful, purposeful, and can possibly change trajectories because we're supporting not only the students, the parents, but the communities who are rallying behind them. Pathways is going to be located here, and I want to talk very intentionally about Pathways. A mistake does not define a future. Think for a moment about your youth, everyone, and the choices that you made then that could have dictated your entire life and future. And what would have happened if you were defined by that moment? Would you be sitting where you are now? This is about returning students back to their trajectory. This is not about permanent placement. This is not about defining a student by one moment. It is about saying, we are here for you, and we're gonna show up for you. We're gonna support you, and we want you to transition back. When you have demonstrated the requirements that are needed for reentry, we want that for you. We want you in your schools, with your communities, your athletics, your fine arts, and the people who lift you up. But we have to be intentional. And so when we're looking at the work that is coming and the benefits, I talked a little bit about some of this and how it connects to our vision to be known, supported, challenged, and prepared. But I want you to think about this idea that when students and families succeed, an entire community can thrive. And what if you were welcomed? What if you had stronger connections between students, families, and the district? What if you had greater access to high quality instruction and resources? What if all of those services were in one location? And what if the support was right on time and right in front of you? How could that change lives? So as you consider approving this name change and approving the vision of where this can take us, I hope you will consider that known, supported, challenged, and prepared, we're saying it because we mean it. Because that means we have to show up and put our beliefs into action, and that is the goal of the Elevate Learning Center. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we are ready for the consent agenda. Before we approve, does any board member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate consideration?
Yes, I would like to remove number 4, the proposed policy revision to board policy, local policy over student discipline. I need to pull that out.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve? Did anyone else want to remove anything from consent? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item number 4? I need a first motion. Okay, any second? Okay. It has been moved by Mrs. Leeser and seconded by Mr. Parker to approve the items on the consent agenda except for excluding item number 4. Any discussion? Not yet.
Mm-hmm. You ready?
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, so since motion or item number 4 has been removed from the consent agenda, I would need a motion to approve item number 4 or a motion to vote on item number 4 in general as it's come out of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on item number 4?
Yes, the discussion is this. I think that corporal punishment should remain part of our board policy. I think it's an effective deterrent for kids, especially now. And I like to see it remain with BISD because, number one, a parent can opt out. If they don't want their children paddled, they can send in a permission slip or whatever, do not paddle my child. there are many parents that want and need corporal punishment for their kids, and I think it should remain.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Is there a motion on number 4 to approve?
I motion that we approve number 4.
Okay, is there a second to approve item number 4? All in favor? Aye. Any against?
Right here, against.
Okay, motion carries. We will now move on to our action items. So Superintendent Massey?
The administration recommends the board approve the interlocal memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County Juvenile Justice Board.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board?
Good evening, Board President, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Massey. Jefferson County Juvenile Board operates the Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program, JJAEP, to provide educational services for students who are required or eligible to attend the program. The proposed MOU establishes the responsibilities of Beaumont ISD and the Juvenile Board of Student Placement, funding, instruction, special education services, transportation, and other requirements for the 26-27 school year. The agreement is effective September 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2027, and allows the district to continue participating in Jefferson County JJAEP in accordance with the state requirements. Approval of this MOU ensures Beaumont ISD can continue utilizing the Jefferson County JJAEP for eligible students through the 26-27 school year, while clearly defining the district's responsibilities for placement, funding, and educational services in accordance with state requirements. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sotelo. Any questions?
I move to approve the interlocal memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County Juvenile Justice Board.
I second the motion.
Okay. It has been moved by Mr. Parker and seconded by Mr. Lewis to approve the interlocal memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County Juvenile Justice Board. Is there any further discussions or questions from Mr. Sotelo? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The administration recommends the board approve the interlocal MOU for partnership with Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center.
Beaumont ISD and the Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center collaborate to provide educational programming and transition services for BISD students placed at the facility. BISD provides instructional staff, technology, academic programming, and student services, while Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center facility supervision and transition assistance. This agreement supports continuity of instruction and helps students earn credits, progress toward graduation, and successfully transition back to their home campuses and communities. No payments between the parties are anticipated.
Any questions?
I will say one thing about Minnie Rogers. I think we've had this partnership for a while, but Minnie Rogers, you know, is the jail for youngsters, and we not only support BISD students there, we have 4 teachers there, we have a principal there right now. If you approve the MOU, we will continue that, but we also support all the Golden Triangle students who go there. So it really is a huge community benefit, and I certainly hope that we stick with it.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I think we do very well with that. We even take on the same responsibilities from Hardin County, Orange. You have people from Sabine Pass, Port Arthur, that goes to the facility that we have the, yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the interlocal MOU for partnership with Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center.
I second.
It has been moved by Mr. Graves and seconded by Mr. Parker to approve the interlocal MOU for partnership with Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The administration recommends the board to approve the official designation of Elevate Learning Center.
Okay. Are there any questions? We already saw the presentation. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve for the approval for the Elevate Center.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Second. Okay, it has been moved by Mrs. Leister and seconded by Mr. Lewis to approve the original designation of the official designation of Elevate Learning Center. All those in favor, please raise your hand and signify aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
We have another one, but I'm going to have Cheryl Hernandez do a little bit of a presentation for you, but we're going to ask that I recommend that the board take action to approve an order authorizing the issuance of the district's unlimited tax refunding bonds.
Good evening. So we're going to be asking the board to approve the bond order authorizing the issuance of unlimited tax refunding bonds. But before we begin, I'd like to recognize two of our professional partners who are here with us this evening. We have Lewis Wilkes. He's the managing director of U.S. Capital Wealth. He is our financial advisor for the school district. And we also have Lance Fox. He's with Creighton Fox, Johnson & Mills, and he is our bond attorney. And they've been instrumental in helping us evaluate and structure this refunding transaction. And they're available to assist with any questions because just in case you ask something that I don't know, I've brought them here. So, just to give you a little history, as you can see from this slide, the district has been very aggressive in paying down the debt. And since 2015, our defeasance strategy has saved taxpayers more than $32.5 million in future interest costs and reduced future principal payments by more than $83 million. So one simple way to think about this is like paying extra towards your mortgage. Instead of waiting and making principal payments as they come due, we are using available funds to accelerate those payments and reduce our outstanding debt sooner. So historically, this has been very effective strategy for our district and especially for our taxpayers. So, we talked just a moment about defeasing debt, but we're asking you to approve a refunding. So, if the defeasance has worked so well, why are we changing our approach? Okay, so the answer is that the law changed. Senate Bills 4 and 23, they changed how we receive funding from the state. So under the new requirements, the district needs to maintain sufficient current year debt schedule relative to its state and local debt service revenues in order to receive the full amount that the state is offering through the Asahi funding. And because of that change, our traditional cash defeasance strategy is now less advantageous because we're going to be giving up state aid that helps us pay our debt. So for fiscal year 26 through 27, we would estimate that we would lose about $850,000, or it could be at risk if we didn't do it this way. So rather than completing the cash defeasance, we're proposing the refunding transaction. And we're not changing the overall goal of the responsibility. We're still trying to pay down the debt and manage to reduce the district's debt, but we're just changing the method to comply with the new legislation. And it's not to increase the financial burden on the district, because we're actually going to do a refunding and we're going to pay it off this year. So it's just to restructure
the debt payment so that it's a part of the debt structure, and to keep that $850,000 that would otherwise be lost. And you know how I hate losing money. So these were the bid results that came in. Our financial advisor conducted a competitive bid process for this refunding issue, and we received 2 bids. The primary number that we're looking at when we're comparing the bids is in the TIC, and that's the true interest cost. So it gives an overall measure of the cost of the financing, and it allows us to compare the bids on an equal basis. Am I doing a good job? Lewis has taught me a bunch. So PNC submitted the lowest true interest cost at 3.8151% compared with 4.0072% from the other bank. I don't know how to say that word. So based on that measure, PNC provided the most favorable bid to the district, and it wasn't hard to choose which one we were going to go with. So this slide summarizes the refunding transaction that we're going to ask you to approve tonight. But most importantly, you need to look at the transaction that we're going to generate almost $2.2 million in savings. So that's savings to the taxpayers. The refunding bonds will mature, they will mature April 15th. That's once we have our tax collections come in, and then we will make these payments, and that's going to take off an additional $11.6 million of eligible debt in 26-27. Let me just take a pause. So that timing is intentional. So it allows us to align that current year INS and state revenues with current year eligible debt so that we don't lose out on that funding through the state. And so with the board's approval tonight, they're going to go ahead and do the closing transaction on September the 16th of 2026. So finally, let's look at, to put this into perspective, this transaction, and let's just go back. When I started here in 2015, the district owed $379 million in outstanding bonds. But since that time, we've been very aggressive and managed our debt through these defeasances. And also, we made our annual debt payments on time. And as of June 30th, 2026, we owe $153.2 million, or close to $153.3 million. So after this transaction and our scheduled debt payments for 26-27, we're going to owe about $131 million. So that represents about $248 million, or a 65% reduction in our outstanding principal. So tonight's refunding allows us to continue that commitment to responsible debt management while adapting our strategy to the new state funding requirements. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, or I might have Lewis or Lance answer them.
Yes, I have just a simple question. Are we refinancing the loan, the bonds? In this,
so, kind of, sort of, but not.
Okay,
so,
make it simple for me so I can, a little bit, just real simple.
So come on, Lewis, I'll let you answer that one, because he's our financial guy, and he understands this, because when he brought it to me, and I was like, what? Yeah. And I was thinking, how in the world is it's going to work? But you could probably
Lewis is the man.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here with you tonight. Essentially, what we're doing is accelerating the debt. Debt that is paid off, would be paid off in the next 4 or 5 years. We're moving it up into this coming fiscal year and paying it off quicker, which is generating the savings, but and also we're able to keep the Asahi funding that we want to keep. Okay. So it's a refunding transaction, but instead of keeping the debt as it normally is, we're moving it up into next year or this coming year.
Right.
Thank you.
So we're borrowing money to pay money off.
Right.
And it's costing us a tad bit to do that.
Okay.
I just have to say, like, how grateful I am to have Chief Cheryl Hernandez, because this is all her. She has, I mean, obviously she has help, but she is so financially fiscal. She says no. I mean, her rap name is CF No. So we joke about rap names around here. But Cheryl has done such a great job. I'm so grateful for you, Cheryl. We would not be where we are if it weren't for you. So thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions?
This is rather simplistic, but am I to understand there are several pockets, and the payment pocket is totally different from the school operations pocket or the teacher's pocket? So, you know, when somebody looks at it and says, well, why don't we pay teachers more rather than pay the bond down, those dollars aren't, we would be against state law if we tried to pull a dollar from this hand to this hand. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. That is a very, very good question. We actually will be asking the board to adopt the tax rate in September. So when I'm saying you're adopting a tax rate, you're actually adopting two tax rates, the maintenance and operations tax rate and the interest and sinking tax rate. This is covered by the debt service tax rate. So we issued bonds, which gives us the authority to levy a tax to only pay down debt. That's the only thing that it can be used for. The other side can be used for operations in the district, and they don't meet together. We are actually, we keep money separate. We have two bank accounts because they can't be commingled because it's only for debt. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Is there a motion?
I move to approve. Also, Cheryl, great job. Seriously, that was really good. I move to approve and order the authorize of inuance. I'm not sure if I said it right. And the district's unlimited tax refunding bonds.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Graves and seconded by Mr. Parker to approve an order authorizing the issuance of the district's unlimited tax refunding bonds. All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
We have one more item to ask you guys to recommend to approve, and that is the interlocal MOU for partnership with communities and schools. Mr. Sotelo will give you a little insight.
Good evening, I'm back. Good to see you guys again. All right, Beaumont ISD proposes a partnership with communities and schools of Southeast Texas to provide integrated student support and college, career, and military readiness services at Beaumont United High School and Westbrook High School during the 26-27 school year. Communities and schools will provide 2 full-time site coordinators to support students with post-secondary planning, FAFSA, TSI completion, career and military exploration, scholarships, and other individualized student needs. The program also includes access to mental health services and ongoing performance monitoring. Are entertaining any questions?
Any questions or discussion?
I've seen it in practice, and it's a huge benefit to our students. For those who don't know about it, it helps them in so many facets to get to the point to where we're trying to get to, where our kids are educationally stable to make those scores. So I, for one, am definitely.
That partnership would be only with the high schools, correct?
Correct, to focus on CCMR, yes, sir.
Correct, thank you.
Okay, is there a motion?
Well, I love the program. I'm going to make a motion. I move to approve the interlocal MOU for partnership with communities and schools.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Mrs. Leister and seconded by Mr. Bridges to approve the interlocal MOU for partnership with communities and schools. Any Further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, raise your hand and say aye if you approve. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Okay, now welcome Mrs. Monica Barnes, our Lone Star Governance Coach, will lead us through the time use tracker and quarterly evaluation. Monica, I will turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Board President Wheeler. Good evening, Superintendent Massey and members of the board. I am excited to be sitting here or standing here with you all today. We are going to be engaging for the first time in our time use tracker and our quarterly self-evaluation. You all have been also very busy setting up student outcome goals. Last month, you adopted the district vision. You adopted your third grade reading, third grade math goals. And thank you, Superintendent Massey, for that report today. Like goal 3, your CCMR goal, we brought up to you by September, October. So continuing to move forward. We're gonna start with our time use tracker today. And again, this is the first time we do this. From this point forward, we're going to be self-evaluating on how we are investing our time during these board meetings. So just to get us started, I just have a question for you to reflect on. You all have been receiving a lot of professional development. We've been learning about best practices when it comes to governance. So when we previously discussed this time use tracker, what stood out to you? Who will go ahead and unmute and share? You know, when we were talking about keeping track of time, what stood out to you as you go back and reflect on that?
When you were drilling us like a sergeant, what
Yes,
was
sir.
standing out is that we need to stay within the time of student outcomes. That's why we're here. Majority of our time, at least 50% of the time, needs to be student outcomes oriented.
Yeah, effective boards invest at least 50% of their time focused on student outcomes during these public meetings. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for going first. Who would like to go next? What else do we remember? What else stood out?
I think it holds some level of accountability for really us and any board, is this idea that you don't get kind of ate up in the minutia and the you know, allow all these different things to come in that don't have anything to do with student outcomes. And so that's my takeaway was you know, really spend this time focused on everything that we can do to help improve student outcomes, improve student behavior, and improve student you know, understanding, and it's just to me, that was kind of an eye-opening experience to understand how at least we should be spending this time, or the majority of this time.
Yeah, the board sets the culture for the rest of the organization. And in governance, we have this thing that we call parallel process. Whatever topic the board is invested in talking about during these public meetings, that is going to be trickling down to the organization. So I've observed boards that spent a lot of time talking about the color of the turf or toilet paper, and it is reasonable to expect that the rest of the organization will be having those conversations. But when boards focused on student outcomes, then that also gets to be trickled down, and district staff, principals, students, community members, they also are then spending their time having these conversations around student outcomes. Thank you. So to get us, or continue with this conversation, I just want to remind us, when we talk about keeping track of the time, we're talking about any non-closed meetings that were authorized either by the board president or the board, okay? That includes your regular board meetings, your special workshops, any board committees, any board hearings. Now, any time we spend on items that are required, statutorily required, then that time does not count for us because we have no control over that. So for example, public comment, the time that we invest listening to the community, because that is a statutorily requirement, that does not count on our time focused on student outcomes. The time that you spend in closed session, there are specific topics, right, that are allowed to be discussed in closed session. Because that is statutorily allowed, then that does not count against our time either. When we talk about time, it is going to be time that we spend in this room out in public. questions on that piece?
I would like to just ask, so what you're talking about in 50% of our time, this is best practices for any board, is that correct? So those that come after us or who will be in these seats in the future, the public and the community should expect these same things from them, is that correct?
That is correct. That is a best practice, and that's how we get to move the needle on those student outcomes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. So I've been keeping track of your time, right? Outside of you all knowing, every time I've been watching every board meeting, if I'm not here, I've been keeping track of your time, and I've been very excited because from the moment you got started, you have been investing your time focused on student outcomes. This data comes from the time use trackers that we're gonna be using from this point forward. I'm going to be kind of like, giving you that responsibility of keeping your time. I've been doing it up to now. Now it's gonna be all of us doing this together. So since you got appointed, there's been 4 board meetings. In May, you had 2. You had the one where you were introduced for the first time, and then you had your regular board meeting back in May. You had another regular board meeting in June, and then one in July. This data was part of your board packet. I asked you all to do some homework, right? Because board work does not happen just in this boardroom. You all have homework, you have board packets that you need to read. So as you review this data, what stood out to you?
Well, we have a large % of our time talking about student outcomes.
That is exactly right. Like, I've been bragging. Anybody who is willing to hear it, I've just been bragging about you all because you have been doing a great job focusing on these student outcomes. But then I also want to congratulate your admin because administration has been doing also a great job at staying focused on student outcomes, bringing you the data as they are collecting that. So that achievement, it's not just for the board, but it's for your superintendent and her cabinet staff for continuing to focus those conversations for you. Great job. Yes. It takes a team to get this done. Thank you. What else do you notice?
It's been improving.
It's getting better, yeah.
Yeah, as we've kind of focused in and adjusted time spent, adjusted agenda, and what we're talking about, it has improved over time.
Yeah, you have been definitely, like, you keep growing, right? May, 54% of your time focused on student outcomes. That went up to 78% in June. And then last month, all the amazing things that you did last month with your goals, your vision, your guardrails, that took us up to 95%. Now, I do want to say also the time that you invest as well, celebrating your community, celebrating your staff, your students, that also counts towards this time focused on student outcomes as well.
Just because I think clarity, we use this term student outcomes a lot. Are you able to maybe define it for just everybody who might be watching or learning, or?
Let me turn this question around. When we talk about student outcomes,
this is what she does to us.
Yeah.
So.
We talked about student outcomes, right? And we actually took this back to, we started with inputs, and this is gonna connect for us when we do the quarterly self-evaluation, right? So we started this conversation talking about inputs, outputs. We talked about 2 types of outcomes. We talked about adult outcomes and student outcomes, and then we talked about student outcome goals. So what do you all remember about student outcomes? When we talk about student outcomes, what are we talking about?
Well, I'd like to point out the difference between adult outcomes and student outcomes for the public and for our audience tonight, because that was something that was really a defining moment also in our training. And so adult outcomes are anything that we talk about that's adult-oriented. And we had to when we were talking about the teachers. But this focus is on student outcomes, and that would be learning, attendance, extracurriculars, satisfaction, teacher interaction, everything focusing on students increasing their learning.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask a question around that? Because when you're thinking about like teacher presence in the classroom, to me that has a direct correlation with student outcomes, like the research showed. So would that be adult outcomes, or would it be student outcomes, or maybe a combination of both?
Yeah, so we are very clear when we talk about student outcomes, we talk about specifically what students know and are able to do. So as we're sitting, wherever we may be, behind the dais, or we're watching, and we're trying to figure out what student outcomes is all about, I always ask participants to ask themselves this question. Is it telling me what students know and are able to do? If whatever we're talking about is giving me that information, then it is a student outcome. If it doesn't give me that information, then what is it?
Adult behavior.
An adult outcome, right? Adult outcome. So last month, you adopted your student outcome goals. Which category does that fall in? Student outcomes or adult behaviors?
Student outcomes.
Student outcomes. Last month, you also adopted the superintendent guardrails. And superintendent guardrails, I know it's been a month, but what do superintendent guardrails have to do with? Adult outcomes, right? It has to do with your DF campuses. It has to do with supporting or increasing the proficiency of our teachers. What was the third one? The curriculum, right? Teachers shall not be allowed to use non-district adopted curriculum. So all of those things are very important because they get us to the student outcomes, but they don't necessarily tell us directly what students know or are able to do. And they fall under adult outcomes. But we also keep track of that, or we make it board work through the guardrails, the superintendent guardrails that you adopted. And that time invested in that also counts towards student outcomes. Anytime we keep our conversations on goals and guardrails and the district vision, all of that falls under the time that we invest in student outcomes. Great questions. Any other questions? All right. So, when we start keeping track of our time, again, I've been doing this, on my own, but now I'm gonna bring you into the fold and we're gonna start doing this together. One of the differences that you're gonna notice is on your agenda, the one that you receive as part of your board packet. After every agenda item, you're going to see a category or a label. And this category or label is directly taken from the time use tracker that we're going to use. You have a copy of that time use tracker on your board packet. So the intent of the labels is to help you, for now, figure out, like, okay, whatever time we spend on that, where does it fall under? Which category is it going to be counting towards? So expect that change. Why is it important for us as a board to understand where our items will fall under this time use tracker? Why are we spending time figuring out, making the connection to those labels, and then keeping track of the time?
Because we don't want to get focused too far out over there or over there. We got to keep it a sweet spot that's been defined.
Yeah.
That's what our work is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a way for us to keep us on track of what board work is. So you have an example of that through my coaching or our meetings. We're gonna be working individually with these Ps. My task is to ensure that you all become proficient at using this tool and keeping track of your time. What you can expect is also every month, you all are going to be looking at one of these completed time use trackers. And then you're gonna have a conversation about it. How are we investing the time? Are we deviating and spending more time on non-board work during our meetings? Or are we still keeping at that? I mean, that was a beautiful, like, in the 90s, that last month, right? So continuing to keep track of our time this way. Questions up to here? Okay, so this is the first time that you officially see it on paper, those time use trackers. Again, from this point forward, we're going to be approving the time use tracker every month. So I would like to pause here so we can have a discussion on the time use trackers and then take action.
Any discussion or questions that we haven't addressed so far? Okay, is there a motion to take action?
I'd like to move that we approve our time use trackers.
Any second?
I second.
Okay, it has been moved by Mr. Lewis and seconded by Mr. Parker to approve the board time use trackers. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, now Monica, the review of the quarterly evaluation.
Thank you. Board evaluation. Again, this is another first for us. And even though you have been appointed for now about 3 months, right? May, so 3.5 months. This is gonna be the first time we're engaging in this board evaluation. From this point forward, what you can expect is that every quarter, we're gonna come back and we're gonna review how we are advancing our work. This instrument is also part of your exit criteria. Like part of the exit criteria for the appointed board is to get to the meets level in order to start that process to begin to transition to the elected board. Before we get there though, and we start reviewing, what value, we talked about board evaluation as well, quite a lot as I was being a drill sergeant and asking you these questions. When we think about the quarterly evaluation, what value does this self-evaluation bring to the work that we do as a board? Who go first?
It helps stay focused on what we're trying to do, and are we effectively following up with these goals that we've set out and staying within our guardrails and holding Massey accountable for what we've asked her to do.
Yeah, you have a great superintendent, but you can, it doesn't matter how amazing your superintendent is. One of the things that we've discovered is if the board is performing at a low level, even if we have Superintendent Massey, she's awesome. She's not going to outperform your performance. You're going to be that ceiling for her performance. So as we engage in these evaluations, the thing for us to think about is, are we creating the space for her to be successful in the attainment of those goals that you've given her, while protecting the values of those guardrails that you've provided for her as well? So that is the intent. If we're having, you all gave her, tall orders, right? She has pretty hefty goals, but in order for her to accomplish those, we also, as a board, need to create the space for her to be able to accomplish those. And to your point, our task is to stay focused on board work. During board meetings, the only things that should be taking place are connected to board work. Goals, your student outcome goals. What else? What is board work? How have we defined board work? I gave you one, student outcome goals. What's the second one?
Board goals.
Board goals? Your board goals, superintendent goals, yeah.
Guardrails?
Guardrails, your superintendent guardrails. And what else? There's a third one. Yeah, vision will fall under goals. Nice try though. Progress measures are connected to goals, so student outcome goals, guardrails, and anything that is required either by statute or law, state or federally required, right? So those are those three things. When we talk about board work and what should be happening in this room when you all are meeting as a board is anything legally required by state or federal law, your student outcome goals, and things directly connected to student outcome goals, and then your guardrails, okay? All right, so let's get started. We are going to engage for the first time. We're gonna use what we called the Implementation Integrity Instrument. And this may sound familiar. There's a word there that you all, heard a lot during our initial trainings. What is that word? The Implementation Integrity Instrument.
Integrity.
That is right. It is integrity, right? What we're telling our community, this is what you can expect from us as we engage in those best governance practices. So I'm gonna ask you to help me with this. You have a clean page of your quarterly progress tracker. We're gonna do this together. This is also gonna be faster because I asked you to do your homework, right? And you all did your homework, I am sure. You've already reviewed this instrument. You've already identified individually where we are. So we're gonna have that conversation today. Today, we are establishing the baseline. We're establishing baseline, so we're identifying where we are. Just like how your student outcome goals have a baseline, we are establishing the baseline for our board. Now, let me just, let you know, most boards, probably like 99.9% of boards, regardless whether they are elected or appointed, usually start, where do you think they start? At a zero. Yeah, they start at a zero. We're engaging in this framework for the first time. Now, just because we're starting at a zero does not mean that you all have not been working hard. You've been working very hard. You adopted your 2 goals. You adopted those guardrails. You've actually spent a lot of time focused on student outcomes, but as you've discovered, there are some things that need to take place before we actually get to the far right, okay? So let's start then with Vision and Goals 1. Vision and Goals 1. We talked about how if any of the statements under the SNAP Meet focus are true, then we cannot move on to the next level, right? All of those need to be false. Now, to stay on a performance level between preparing to focus and master's focus, all of those need to be in place. Like, there's no partial credit in effective governance. All of those need to be true, okay? So, as we look at Vision and Goals 1, this has to do with the board adopting student outcome goals. Where did you identify our board at?
I believe we adopted 2 goals. The 3rd goal, we're waiting for the data to do it and on the college career readiness.
Mm-hmm.
So that, in my mind, keeps us from completing the preparation to focus. So we're stuck at 0 for.
Okay. I will adjust my word to stuck. Like, for now, we're sitting at 0, right? Because October, November, superintendent is going to bring that 3rd goal. Now, this is what's gonna happen. Even though right now we're sitting at does not meet focus, once our superintendent brings that 3rd goal, CCMR, it is going to meet all of the requirements under approaches. It's gonna meet all of the requirements under meets. So we're actually gonna go from 0 to meets focus, okay? So right now we're sitting at does not meet focus because of things out of our control. But once we adopt that 3rd goal, then we're gonna make that jump to meets focus, okay? All right, so on your quarterly progress tracker, for now, let's just worry about the current quarter. Let's complete that piece. Let's identify where we are. This is our baseline. So under Vision and Goals 1, if you can please write down, we said we are at does not meet focus, right? So that would be 0. Okay, thank you, Dan.
Not stuck, but prepared to move forward and waiting on opportunity.
That is right. Thank you for that rephrasing, Dan. Okay, let's now go then to Vision and Goals 2. Vision and Goals 2 is all about those goal progress measures. So Vision and Goals 1 is student outcome goals. Vision and Goals 2 is about those goal progress measures. Where are we at when it comes to goal progress measures? Yeah, we don't have them yet. Yeah, we don't have them yet. Those should be coming within the next couple of months as well, okay? So again, this is gonna be another one where we're gonna jump from 0 to 12, okay?
By exam, is that correct?
Yes, it's from the. We were waiting on the official STAR scores, which are now here, so we should be able to bring progress measure goals in September.
Mm-hmm. Great question, Lori, thank you. All right, so we're gonna do 0 under Vision and Goals 2. Now the next one, Vision and Goals 3, this is all about the board adopting constraints. Constraints for our superintendent, but then also constraints for us as a board. Where are we at when it comes to Vision and Goals 3?
I think we could actually give ourselves some points on this one.
Woohoo, I like it.
It's exciting, for sure.
Yes.
Since we don't get partial credit.
No partial credit in effective governance.
Yeah, I think number 9, or 9 points would make sense, meets focus.
All right, so the board has adopted 1 to 5 superintendent constraints, is that true?
Yes.
The board owned this process with the superintendent?
Yes.
Yes. Each one of those superintendent constraints describe a single operational action?
Yes.
Yes, and then has the board adopted board self-constraints?
Yeah, because we did guardrails.
Yeah, you did your guardrails, right? Your board guardrails. Guardrails, constraints, we're talking about the same thing. Thank you for that clarification, Darian. And then with the creation of the superintendent guardrails, I mean, Superintendent Massey looked at all the data. She looked at the state of the district, and she identified those 3 highest leverage guardrails that will support the attainment of those goals. So that second descriptor there is on track as well. And then what about the third descriptor under meets focus?
It's definitely challenging.
It is. It is challenging. It is challenging the organization. And at the same time, there's this focus on the vision, right? Of where we are going to all be moving towards. So give yourselves a round of applause because for Vision and Goals 3,
Good job.
yeah, we are at meets focus. All right. Vision and Goals 4 has to do with the progress measures for those guardrails or constraints. Have we adopted guardrail progress measures or constraint progress measures for the superintendent?
No.
Not yet. Those are coming soon as well, okay? So on Vision and Goals 4, we are at? 0. It does not meet focus. The next one is progress and accountability. And this is the one where you all mentioned this before, like boards investing at least 50% of their time. That's where this is coming from on the integrity instrument. That is also based on research. Where are we when it comes to progress and accountability 1? Under does not meet focus, the board does not have student outcome goals, GPMs, constraints, constraint progress measures. Is that true?
We do not have all those.
Don't have GPM.
Yeah, that's partially true, right? Because we do not have goal progress measures, we do not have those guardrail progress measures or constraint progress measures. So this is another one where we're gonna be starting at does not meet focus, but this is gonna be another one also where very quickly, we're actually gonna jump all the way to masters. As long as you as a board continue to invest more than 50% of your time, the things that need to happen here to move from does not to masters is adopt your progress measures, and then the superintendent is going to develop a board progress monitoring calendar. That way you know which goal progress measures, which goals we're gonna be talking about every single month for the next 5 years for the duration of your goals. In addition to that, your community will also know which GPMs, which goals you're gonna be talking about as well. So this one is-
Monica, does this mean that you're messing up our 50% goal tonight?
No, great question. No, because the time that we talk about what doesn't change until adult behaviors change? Student outcomes. Yeah, student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. And in order to change student outcomes, we also need to reflect on our own adult behaviors. So let me go back. That's a great question. Let me go back to this one right here. Under progress and accountability, we have, monitoring of goals. So the second largest box, we have monitoring goal progress measures, monitoring the guardrails, which is in green, and then the second one on the blue is our superintendent evaluation. But the second green under progress and accountability, that's the time that we invest self-evaluating. Anytime we're talking about the time use tracker, anytime we're talking about our board guardrails, anytime that we invest doing this piece also counts towards student outcomes. When we talk about student outcomes, we're adding the minutes, having conversations on student outcomes, but we're also adding the minutes, having conversations on guardrails and our own behavior as well. So great question. I am not impacting your student. I'm not, deducting any time from the amazing, on track of student outcomes. This helps us as well. All right, so progress and accountability 1. We are then at does not meet focus, but once we get that monitoring calendar, once we adopt those progress measures, and you continue to invest at least 50% of your time focused on these conversations, we're gonna go to the masters in no time, okay? Let me pause right here. So progress and accountability, 0. Okay, next one, progress and accountability 2. This has to do with this process of the board evaluation and the way that we evaluate our superintendent as well. So based on our homework, where are we on progress and accountability 2? We are, for now, at does not meet focus, right? Because this is the first time we self-evaluate using this tool. We have not evaluated your superintendent yet. So because of that, that is going to take us a little bit longer. Don't expect this one to move as fast as the other ones, okay? This is gonna take a little bit more time. All right, systems and processes. So this is, again, the way that we operate as a board that will allow our superintendent to accomplish the vision, to accomplish the goals. Once again, based on our homework, where are we at for systems and processes? Yeah, does not meet focus. Say it proud and say, that's where we are. There's nothing to be ashamed of. This is where we are. We're starting this process. So yeah, we are at does not meet focus. We're gonna start moving the needle here after we adopt those progress measures, after we adopt the monitoring calendar, and then our superintendent is going to be bringing us progress monitoring reports. This is where our work also, you doing your homework individually, reviewing those progress monitoring reports, asking questions focused on student outcomes. Like that's also where our focus is going to be as we continue adopting those goal progress measures and guardrail progress measures. So this is at a 0. Also expect this one to move up at a little bit of a slower rate, okay? All right, advocacy.
Monica, I do have one question on this one. Okay, so under does not meet focus, it says there were 6 or more board authorized public meetings in a month. I've been doing parent meetings at every school, and I've done already more than 6 in this month. So how does that work?
Was that your meeting?
It was my meeting,
Yeah. So remember.
It has to be something that the board is authorizing? Okay.
Correct. So this is gonna be like you meeting with parents, you meeting with your community that falls under your superintendent work. These meetings that we're talking about, like these 6 meetings per month, is like meetings that the board authorize. Believe it or not, there are school boards out there that meet more than 6 times per month. Yeah, that's not gonna be us. All right. So advocacy and engagement. Advocacy and engagement, where are we? Yeah, for now we are at a 0. Now when we started this process, we talked about the difference between the elected board and the appointed board when it comes to engaging with the community. Because we need to move the needle as fast as we can to ensure that our students are receiving what they deserve at Beaumont ISD, we were going to be working on those goals and those guardrails in collaboration with our superintendent and ensuring that those goals and guardrails align to the exit criteria given by the state. Once that stabilizes, right, once we have our goals, our guardrails, our progress measures that we're meeting for now, our monitoring calendar, then we're gonna start thinking about how we're gonna go out to the community and share those pieces. It has been great to hear that the community is asking you all to go out and meet with them. And we're gonna work on that, but we are not going to be establishing a process like district-wide yet. Okay, we wanna make sure that the information that we have has been adopted, has been established, and then we can go out and engage our community that way. Again, on this one, for now then, we are at does not meet focus. This is another one that's gonna move a little bit slower as we go. Questions on this one?
I feel like the last 4 or 3 are really primarily time-bound. I mean, that all of this is an effort to kind of build toward a successful transition in general, but then it's also just very much tied to like when and how can we do this in a productive way. So, you know, just saying that to say we're zeros, a lot of zeros, but
Yeah.
at least the last 3 for sure are specifically time-bound, probably by design.
Yeah, those are connected to those milestones that you're going to be adopting now at the earlier stages of implementation. So we cannot, we don't want to go out to the community and just talk about whatever. We want to be able to focus our conversations on board work, on your goals, on your guardrails, and the way that you're monitoring those. Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Said differently, we don't want to rush some of these processes. I think that that's incredibly important.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wheeler. All right, last one is synergy and teamwork. Where are we on synergy and teamwork? Yeah, we are at a 0 on this one as well. While our superintendent is working hard on getting us those progress measures for goals and guardrails, we are going to start talking about the board operating procedures. So expect that to be coming up soon. Again, this is another one that we're gonna be moving also. Well, it may be a little bit slow, but then also it may speed up. You all have been engaging in effective practices when it comes, for example, to the approaches focus and the meets focus. So there may be that piece of the board operating procedure, because again, we're focusing on goals, to your point, on goals, guardrails, progress measures, before we engage in this other work. So for now, we are at does not meet focus, but again, that needle will start moving once we have those foundational pieces in place. All right, so my math experts, this is difficult math. What is the total under our current quarter? Yeah, we are at a 9. Hey, you are actually higher than most boards when they do this for the first time. So we are at a 9. In 3 months, we're gonna come back and we're gonna celebrate because your superintendent is already setting you all up for success and move the needle, especially under vision and goals 1 through 4. So don't feel bad. This is part of the process, but you all are gonna be celebrating in 3 months that increase, especially on vision and goals. Questions before I give it back to Board President Wheeler. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the quarterly evaluation?
I move to approve our quarterly evaluation.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Graves and seconded by Mr. Lewis to approve the board quarterly evaluations. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
And just an FYI, so every 3 months, we're gonna be completing this piece. Tisha is also going to be sharing this document with you because as part of our holding ourselves accountable, we're gonna be signing this document as well, okay? So expect that to be on the packet that Tisha gives you for signatures.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, the board now is going to go into closed session to discuss agenda items posted on the closed session agenda as authorized by the Open Meetings Act under sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Thank you. The board is now reconvened in open session at 8:05 PM. There are no action items resulting from closed session. There being no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 8:06 PM. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Dance it out, dance it out, dance it out, dance it out.